Do you find yourself sitting on the couch, scrolling through Netflix for hours, desperately trying to find something to watch and refusing to give up? Endlessly scrolling through TikTok until late in the evening, or even into the early morning? Do you get excited when you hear that text sound? What's all that about? Put simply, you're just a victim of the dopamine-seeking reward loop. Dopamine is created in various parts of the brain, and it's critical in all sorts of brain functions like thinking, moving, sleeping, mood, attention, and motivation. Dopamine was originally thought of as critical in the pleasure systems of the brain, and it was initially thought that dopamine makes you feel enjoyment and pleasure. So it motivated you to seek out certain behaviours like food, sex, and drugs. But then research began to show that dopamine is also critical in causing seeking behaviour. Dopamine causes you to want, desire, seek out, and search. It increases your general level of arousal and your goal-directed behaviour. And dopamine makes you curious about ideas and fuels your search for information. So dopamine propels you to take action. It forms what is sometimes referred to as the liking and wanting systems, and it makes you feel satisfied and therefore drives your seeking. But here's the thing, the dopamine wanting system, which is a particular form of desire called mesolimbic incentive salience, is stronger than the liking system. In other words, you tend to seek more than you actually need or like. And that's when you're in danger of getting into a dopamine loop. If your seeking isn't turned off, at least for a little while, then you start to run in an endless loop. Obviously, like and want are simplified terms, but you get the picture. When you bring up the feed on one of your favourite apps, the dopamine loop gets involved. With every photo you scroll through, headline you read, or link that you go to, you're actually feeding that loop. And that makes you want more. And it takes a lot to reach satiation. And in fact, you might never be satisfied. Chances are what makes you stop is that someone interrupts you or some other more powerful urge or stimuli appears. The problem is that the dopamine system doesn't have satiety built in. And the dopamine system is especially sensitive to cues that a reward might be coming. If there's a small specific cue that signifies that something is about to happen, that actually sets off our dopamine system. So when there's a sound or a visual cue that a notification has arrived, that cue enhances the addictive effect. It's not the reward itself that keeps the dopamine loop going, it's the anticipation of the reward. So, can you get out of the loop? Well, the combination of dopamine release in the brain plus the conditioned response with motor movement, so the swipe with a finger or your thumb, actually makes the dopamine loop hard to stop. One way you can get some control is to create a counter movement, a physical movement that you do that becomes its own conditioned response. So for example, my counter movement conditioned response is that when I realise I'm in a dopamine loop, I immediately look up from the phone into the sky or into the ceiling. And then I press the home button and place the phone face down or even in another room. Look, if you can come up with a physical movement that becomes a conditioned response, you can at least break down the dopamine-seeking reward loop once it's started. Or maybe turn off your device altogether for a period of time each day. Radical idea, I know.